Hi everyone, this is Paul Pettit from Spatify. Today we're going to be going through a step-by-step config of Igel 10 with Imprivata 5.4 Service Pack 1. This is an exciting new release from each of these companies, and although we will be working with the latest version of each, these steps will apply to previous versions as well as to most of the future versions. If you want to follow along with this, visit us at spatify.com/tryiGel. Our team will provide free services as well as demo licenses to help you get this set up in your environment. You can convert existing Windows-based devices into secure Igel OS-based endpoints. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we'll need to do is upload the IPM file for ProveID Embedded. That's the software that runs on the Igel thin clients. You'll go to the Packages tab, click Upload Imprivata Package, browse to your IPM file, and then click Upload. It'll take just a second to upload. While that's doing that, let's jump over to the Imprivata support portal and I'll show you where I downloaded that software from. So if you go to the OneSign page, go to OneSign 5.4 Service Pack 1, click on OneSign ProveID Embedded Agent. That'll download that IPM. After you've got that uploaded, just go ahead and click the Install button. If you have multiple appliances, it's going to ask if you want to distribute it. In my environment, I just have one. It'll go through some of the steps to install, and then you'll be all set. After that's done, let's go over to the Security tab. You'll want to download the certificate for your Imprivata CA. If you're running a different CA, you can get that certificate as well. Save that someplace that you'll know where to get it. And that's it. So next steps, we'll move over to the Imprivata OneSign admin. This is not port 81. Just go ahead and go to your URL for your appliance. Click on Admin Console, log in. Once you're logged in, click on the wheel or the settings button up in the corner, click on ProveID, then click Allow Access to ProveID Web API and ProveID Embedded, then click the Igel button. This is just basically to tell the Imprivata appliance to allow authentication from those devices through those APIs. Next, we'll go ahead and add a computer policy. Click on Computers, then Computer Policy, then click Add, give it a name. And really the main thing that we're concerned with here is that there is a computer policy with virtual desktop access enabled. If you already have one, then you can add your Igel devices into that policy either manually or through a computer policy assignment. I'm using VMware Horizon in my environment, so I'll go ahead and check that, and then you will want to make sure that you have your connection server, your storefront, or your RDS gateways there. After that's done, let's go to Computers, Computer Policy Assignment, and then from here we will add that computer policy assignment rule. This basically says if you are this, then add to this computer policy. So in our case, we want anything that has ProveID embedded to go into that Igel computer policy that we just created. So we'll go ahead and name it. We're going to choose the Imprivata agent type as the condition, and then the value for that will be ProveID embedded. And then we're going to apply that Igel computer policy that we just set. So now any new machine that we add to the OneSign environment that has ProveID embedded will get added to that Igel computer policy. Next, we'll go over to Users, User Policy. If you don't already have a user policy that uses VDA, we'll want to create one. I'm just going to name it VDA. I'll go to the Virtual Desktops tab. And then in my environment, I'm doing full VDI desktops with VMware, but it would vary, based on the VDI environment that you have in your environment. Really, just to make this work, you have to have those two policies in place or you're going to get an error on the endpoint. I'm also going to check just to make sure my authentication stuff looks right. I have proximity card there, which is what I want, so we're all good. Now we're going to jump over to the Igel UMS installer. This is a pretty straightforward process. You want to download the UMS software. If you need help with any of that, definitely reach out to us. After that's downloaded, you'll really just be double-clicking on the installer and going through next in the installation. During the installation, it is going to ask you for an admin username and password. That is the main login that you'll use to get into the Igel UMS. You want to remember that, and we're going to use it here in just a second when we first log in. Now, the Igel UMS is basically a management console for all of your Igel devices. It can also handle Internet of Things devices, Windows devices. So it's a much easier way to push out configurations and different settings to your Igel devices rather than going to each machine one by one. Let it go ahead and do the installation. Then once that's completed, we'll go ahead and open up the Igel UMS console. Put in the username and password that you just created, and everything looks good. So now we need to add some devices, but first I need to get some information from my device. So I opened up the Information tab. I'm just really looking for the IP address of this device. There it is right there. So now I'll jump back to the UMS. We'll add a thin client. You click the Scan for Thin Clients button there, and then put in the range of the Igel devices. In your environment, it may be much larger depending on the size of the pilot or production environment you have. Mine, it was just one. So it scans for the client, it finds it. You do need to click the include button there in order to add it to your inventory. Then it'll take a second here for it to register the thin client, and then you'll see it show up under thin clients. Next, we're going to add a profile. In this case, we're just going to be adding the Imprivata session settings. So we'll create that. We'll want to click on Overwrite Sessions, and then it'll bring up all of the setup information. So we'll click on Sessions, Appliance Mode, click that little yellow triangle there, then click Imprivata. Click the yellow triangle again there, put in the Imprivata appliance hostname. And then there is one more setting that we'll want to add. This doesn't apply to all versions, but it's still best practice. Go down to System, then to Firmware Customization, Custom Commands, Base, and then we're going to want to do the final initialization command. Go ahead and paste the information that I have in the description in there. This basically just prevents the Igel device when it first logs on or boots, it will prompt for an admin credential on some versions. So by running this, it just stops that from happening. Next, we're going to add the certificate. So go down to File, right click and do New File, browse to that SSO CA cert that we saved earlier. And then you're going to go down to the location. That's going to be at WFS CA-certs/SSO-CA.cer. You won't want to change anything there for the classification, even though there is an option for SSL cert. In this case, we just want to copy it into that location. That's where Imprivata is going to be looking for that cert. Now we can drag that cert up onto our profile, and that's going to apply that cert as an assigned object to any thin clients that we would apply the profile to. So we just applied that profile. We're going to tell it to apply now, and then we'll jump back to our Igel device to see what's happening. So you can see it's creating a custom partition now, and it's going to convert this machine from an Igel desktop into more of a kiosk for Imprivata. You will notice there's a little toolbar at the top after we finish this conversion. That's not necessarily going to be desirable in most environments because they could close out of it, that sort of thing. So let's jump back over into our UMS and we will add a setting that will prevent that from happening. So we'll edit our configuration for that Imprivata profile. Go down to System, Registry, User Interface, Igel Toolbar, and then you want Show Always in Appliance Mode, or Show Igel Toolbar Always in Appliance Mode. Uncheck that and click Save, and then you can say Now. This doesn't actually require a reboot. I just did one in my environment to make sure it doesn't come back, and we're all good. So it rebooted, we don't see a taskbar, we're ready. Next thing I'm going to do is plug in a badge reader. This is pretty dynamic. As soon as it sees it, you'll see there it shows another icon. Now I'm going to tap my badge. I've never enrolled this badge with this environment, so I'll go ahead and enroll it. Just click Enroll this card now, put in your Active Directory credentials, and then essentially what that's doing is linking that badge ID to those Active Directory credentials. After that's done, it'll go ahead and automatically authenticate me. In the future, of course, I won't have to go through those steps, and it'll automatically authenticate with the badge plus, password. Now you'll see we're in the desktop, the Imprivata agent is there, everything looks good. We're going to go and tap the badge, and we're back to the lock screen. That's pretty much it. You can definitely mess around with more of the settings within the UMS, and you can also do some customization from the Customization tab on the Computer Policy tab within Imprivata to change the logo that you see on that screen. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this. As you can see, this is a really easy way to take existing Windows devices and convert them into secure Linux-based thin clients that still use Imprivata to connect to your VDI environment. We do a lot of work with Igel and Imprivata, as well as the entire VDI stack. If you have any questions about anything we covered today or anything about your VDI environment, please feel free to shoot me a message, paul@spatify.com, visit us at spatify.com, or hit us up on Twitter, we're @spatify. Thanks again.